solemnly swear that I am up to no good. What are 31 colleges of Cambridge? Isn't it just Cambridge University? Well, these are 31 different castles where students live but don't study. Imagine these are the houses of Harry Potter, but instead of 4, we have 31. I asked students from all 31 colleges to show us around their castles. We will visit the library, the formal hall, the student rooms, and all of the other hidden places. Welcome to Peterhouse, and Lawrence has kindly agreed to show us around his college, which is the oldest college at Cambridge.
Yes, it was 1284, I think it was founded, but everything behind you there is actually original, so that's all part of the original college.
It's fantastic, and I think it's one of 2 colleges which has a theatre.
Yes, it does. It has a theatre over near the library, so we actually have the library on one side of the theatre. It kind of encloses it. The theatre itself is all wood panels, so I don't know if we can go in today, but if we can, I'll show you around that.
Stay tuned. And how would you describe your college in 3 words?
I think Peterhouse is definitely unique.
So it's unique, unique, unique.
Yes, definitely. Unique, unique, unique. It has a wonderful history. It's the oldest college, as you said. It has so many different things about it. It's the smallest as well, which kind of brings into that lovely collegiate atmosphere. You know everyone. You never walk past someone's like, I don't know who that is.
We will learn some more interesting facts about this college. And maybe before this, elaborating on its uniqueness, could you please tell us about Peterhouse May Ball? It's also very unique.
Yes, so that's probably one of the more unique aspects of the college. So Peterhouse May Ball is a white tie ball. It's one of 2 colleges that has a white tie ball, the other being Magdalen. I think the key difference there is our white tie ball is it's mandatory, whereas I think Magdalen it's kind of encouraged, but it's not enforced so strictly.
Could you elaborate on its being white tie?
So white tie is traditional English dress. So what we think about now in a tuxedo and black tie is very 1920s American. It came about because Edward VIII, the Duke of Windsor, didn't like wearing the stiff collars. So he wanted something that was more turned down and relaxed. So that's where black tie kind of made its trip over to the UK. But before then it was all tailcoats and stiff collars. So if you close your eyes and think about Titanic the movie, everyone there is wearing a tailcoat with a stiff collar, white bow ties, white fronted waistcoats with enough studs and pearls to sink a battleship.
And women have to wear white gloves, right?
Yes, so women will be encouraged strongly to wear gloves and full-length ball gowns. So one of the most amusing aspects of a May Ball here is that it's a very old college. It's got very narrow spaces, but you'll see everyone trying to get in dresses like that, trying to shuffle their way through some of the tight corridors.
So let's start the tour.
So I'm in the largest garden, which is the deer park. Years ago there were many deer running around here, but they have long since disappeared. I think about 30 years ago they contracted a disease and died as a result, and we've never been able to reintroduce wild deer. There is an upside to this. It means that we've now invested more into our sort of student spaces out here. So in the summer you'll find that this lawn has a conservation area in, it's never cut, whereas in the winter obviously it's all mown down. We have our new orchard being grown alongside the pathways. Through the back there is another garden. In the back garden there we have our croquet lawn, which is a favourite amongst senior students in the summer. And over there, which you can't see at the moment, is the private master's garden. So in case you haven't got enough sort of educational enrichment out of your studies, right next door to Peterhouse and actually backs onto the garden is the Fitzwilliam Museum. So if you get bored of reading a textbook, you can always go outside, walk around the college and go inside a free museum and have a look around there instead.
Lawrence, I've heard that this building was the second building in the UK to get the electricity after Parliament. Is it true?
Yes, so ostensibly this is the second building in the UK outside of the Palace at Westminster to have electric lighting in it. Apparently it was also the first to have it removed because the fellows said that it ruined the atmosphere in here. As you can see, it has been somewhat restored, but we only dine by candlelight. These lights are never on. So that features into our little bit we said earlier about the candles in the chapel.
And who is she?
So that there is the first female master of Peterhouse. She was the master when I matriculated here. Yeah, so we've just had her portrait unveiled here in the dining hall, along with some of the older masters of the college, which you'll see dotted around.
So, Lawrence, tell me about the dining culture here. I remember once I came here for formal and there was something like the self-service.
Yes, so another thing that's a bit unique about Peterhouse, or traditional, whichever you would prefer to use, is the dining here. So formal hall is 7 times a week, which is unlike any other college. We have formal hall every night. It's service in communal style. It's actually called service à l'anglais, or English styled service. So your meat will come out plated up and it will be brought out to you. But all of the vegetables and everything to add will be on the table, and you just help yourself and pass round. So you always pass the vegetable tray round and anything else that you're using. What differs there is when we have super formal. So unlike most colleges, we actually have a step up from formal hall, which is super formal. So for Peterhouse, again, it's weird. We don't wear gowns at super formal. It's black tie mandatory, which is part of the reason why we still have white tie for May Balls, so that May Balls are even higher up the pecking order. Super formals are service à la Russe. So service in the Russian style, which is what you would expect to have everything brought to you already plated and then removed from your table when it's done. One of the best things about it is in super formals, this fire is always burning, so it's a high log fire that you get all of the atmosphere with the candles, with the log fire. It's always very warm in this room. We do have apparently electric heating. Rumour has it it's been disconnected and that we only use this. I'm not sure whether or not that's true, but it's always a unique thing about Peterhouse, and it wouldn't surprise me if it wasn't.
Which is already unique by its nature.
So Peterhouse also has kept its traditional form of dining. So we use benches. There apparently is an unwritten rule that if you're sat on these benches and you want to leave the table during the middle of food, rather than make everybody stand up, you're supposed to climb over the tables. I've never seen anyone actually do that at Peterhouse, and I wouldn't recommend it, but it's a weird little quirk about Peterhouse's dining. Typical Cambridge fashion, we have a raised plinth with the high table. We're summoned to dinner by gong, which is there, and Peterhouse has 2 prayers that are still said in Latin at the start of dinner. Behind you, directly behind you, is the choir balcony, which is where during super formals the college choir will sing from. Actually behind that building is the upper dining hall, so we actually have 2 dining halls. One's a smaller room behind there, and out that way is G staircase, and then behind us is the fellows dining hall. So we're currently in G staircase, which connects the dining hall to the fellows dining hall, which is down the back here, and which we may be able to see in a minute. This staircase apparently is also haunted by one of Peterhouse's many ghosts. So this is the fellows dining hall in here. And then out the door is the way to the master's garden. This staircase, apart from also being haunted, serves a very practical reason. Above us are the dean's parlours. So the dean will host all of the fellows up there before dinner, and they will come down this staircase to eat. This is also the way through. When you matriculate, you queue in the hall and then you matriculate in the combination room. So this is Peterhouse's chapel. It is built towards the front end of the college, so you can see the large stained glass window from the road outside the front. The stained glass window at the back is rumoured to be the only one of the stained glass windows on the chapel that's not an original. The chapel itself has just gone through a period of restoration. We've just restored the organ piece by piece. Services wise, all of our services are done in candlelight every single night. And it's the same when we eat dinner, it's all done by candles. The result of which is Peterhouse burns through 97 candles a day, with all of the scraps being collected and then melted down and cast into new candles, which is part of that conservation process. The church services are wonderful. Quite uniquely, we have St. Peter's Rod, which goes in first before the cross. St. Peter's Rod, obviously this was once a convent, so St. Peter's Church. So the Rod of St. Peter goes in and then the crucifix follows along with our resident pastors.
Let me ask you some questions about accommodation.
Yep.
And are only undergraduates living on site, or also postgrads?
So actually, if you take a look around, all these windows on the upper floors are undergraduate accommodation. Interestingly about Peterhouse is it doesn't matter if you're undergraduate or postgraduate, there is one room per student here for every student. There's a room for every student.
Everyone?
Every single student has a room here.
Even PhD students?
Even PhD students.
Wow.
So majority of undergraduates live in the college, and a lot of the postgraduates live across the road in some of the accommodation, or out down the gardens there's somewhere called St. Peter's Terrace, which is also mainly postgraduate accommodation.
So once you apply for college, then you have your accommodation secured.
You've got a place here.
I've heard that Peterhouse has the smallest number of undergraduates.
It's the smallest college, so postgraduates and undergraduates together is only about 414 people here. So our college is smaller than even like the postgraduate only colleges.
You get to know all of the people.
Yes, if you come to Peterhouse and you walk through the quad, you will know everyone, at least by sight, if not also by name, and you probably would have spoken to them at least once while they're here. And
how are the rooms inside? Because it's so, like, the building is ancient.
So Peterhouse has spent a lot of money modernising its rooms and getting the more modern spaces for improving the student experience. I had my room here. I really loved it. It had lots of character.
Somewhere here?
Yes. The biggest thing about the rooms is the single glazed windows, so it can be quite noisy at night, especially if we've got a party going on downstairs.
Are most of the rooms en suite?
No. Most of the rooms are not en suite. Not in the college anyway. Some of the other accommodation is en suite. But we also have fellows that live in the college itself as well. So your next door neighbour might also be a fellow. If you're really unlucky, your next door neighbour will be your DOS.
Oh my gosh.
So if you are constantly having parties, your Dean of Studies is definitely going to know that you haven't been doing the work. So this is the second courtyard, also known as Gisborne Court. Behind us is one of Peterhouse's recent projects. The college was built, the college renovated this part of the property within the style of the old college. One of the other things that's very interesting is behind you here, some of these accommodation rooms here are for visiting guests. So you can always come in as a guest, so you're a former alumni, and rent a room out for the evening as well. So this is Peterhouse's library. It's for members of the college only. Actually, inside along this wall here is a private law library for law students only. And opposite is the Church of Little St Mary's. Little St Mary's used to be the college church before the chapel was built. Peterhouse has a very strong rowing tradition, and we do have our own boathouse down on the River Cam. But as part of this new building, we have our very own gym, which is always absolutely packed with students working on something that isn't their studies. So, an interesting fact about Peterhouse is it was the only college to go royalist in the English Civil War in Cambridge. What's rather amusing was apparently Peterhouse College was then attacked by the other colleges and surrendered within a day, but not before we'd managed to sneak all of the silverware out of the college to fund the King's War effort. Whereas our sister college in Oxford, Merton, was the only college to go Republican. So we're now on Trumpington Street, outside the front of the college, for the last sort of 2 rooms. So the second floor rooms there were restored by a large grant to the college. So they've got some of the most expensive artifacts are in there, heavy gold chandeliers and red velvet curtains. The idea was that people would pass the college and see how wealthy the college was. Above it, you can see an iron railing on the top of the college. That used to be where the master lived prior to acquiring the house opposite. One of the masters was so scared of dying in a fire that he had this iron girdle installed so that he could have a little rope ladder to come down. As soon as the fellows found out about this, he decided to ring the fire alarm at every available opportunity. So the master would be seen descending from a rope ladder in their pyjamas down this outside of this building. Eventually, as a result of that, the master purchased, or rumour has it the master purchased the house opposite. At the end of Trumpington Street and opposite the Master's Lodge and the hostel are the Porter's Lodge. So one interesting thing about Peterhouse is that every undergraduate student still has a pigeon box inside the original Porter's Lodge building. All the postgraduate ones are in the members' common room.
Mischief managed. Thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed the tour. Watch other 30 colleges tour on my channel. And in the end, you will have a bonus tour around a hidden college of Cambridge.